Imagine this. A 23-year-old steps into Judge Caprio's courtroom dressed in designer clothes, carrying an air of entitlement. He's there for a simple speeding ticket, a quick, routine matter. It should be over in 5 minutes. But as Judge Caprio begins reviewing the case, the young man does something completely unexpected. Instead of simply defending himself, he challenges the entire courtroom. "I'm the governor's son," he declares. "Watch how you speak to me." The room falls silent. Every eye turns toward Judge Frank Caprio, waiting to see his reaction to this mix of arrogance and intimidation. Will he give in? Will he lose his temper? Will power and influence shape his decision? What happens next is just one line, 10 words, delivering one of the most powerful lessons in humility ever seen in this courtroom. Subscribe now, because what you're about to witness shows exactly why Judge Caprio has earned his reputation. Not for shouting, but for knowing when to stay calm and measured. Share your thoughts below. Have you ever seen privilege meet reality? Let's talk about it. It's Wednesday morning, 11:30 a.m., at the Providence Municipal Court. The bailiff calls the next case, unaware of what's coming. Case number 7842, Derek Hastings, charged with speeding. A young man strides, not walks, to the podium like he owns the place. Mid-20s, sharp haircut, wearing a designer jacket that probably costs more than most people's rent. His posture says it all. "I'm not like these other people." Judge Caprio greets him politely. "Good morning, Mr. Hastings." Derek barely looks up. "Morning." "No, Your Honor." No courtesy. Judge Caprio notices the attitude right away but stays composed. "Mr. Hastings, you're charged with driving 58 miles per hour in a 35 zone on Thayer Street. That's a residential area with several crosswalks. Can you explain what happened?" Derek shrugs as if the question isn't worth his time. "I was late for brunch. The road was clear. Not a big deal, not a big deal. You were driving 23 miles over the speed limit. Look, nobody got hurt. I'm a careful driver. This whole thing is just the city trying to make money under the name of safety," the courtroom murmurs. Such open disregard toward a judge is unusual, almost unbelievable. Judge Caprio's face remains composed, but his tone grows a shade firmer. "Mr. Hastings, this court takes traffic safety very seriously. Excessive speed in residential areas endangers pedestrians." That's when Derek makes his critical mistake. He leans forward on the podium, looks straight at Judge Caprio and smirks before saying the words that will define the entire hearing. "Do you know who I am? I'm Governor Hastings' son. Maybe you should watch how you talk to me." The reaction is instant. Gasps, whispers, everyone waiting to see if this arrogance just destroyed his case or if influence and money will somehow shield him. Judge Caprio doesn't move. Not angry, not rattled, just still. His eyes lock on Derek with a calm intensity that makes the young man's smirk waver. The silence stretches. 5 seconds. 10. 15. The whole courtroom holding its breath. Derek shifts slightly, confidence draining under the judge's unbroken gaze. That silence is doing what his authority couldn't. It's making him uneasy. Finally, Judge Caprio speaks. His voice is softer now, steadier, and somehow that makes it even more commanding. "Mr. Hastings, let me be sure I understand you correctly. Did you just tell me to watch how I speak to you because you're the governor's son? Is that what you said?" Derek tries to regain his confidence. "I'm just saying, you should probably consider who you're talking to." "Who I'm talking to?" Judge Caprio repeats calmly. "Let me tell you who I'm dealing with, Mr. Hastings. I'm dealing with someone who was driving nearly 60 in a 35 zone, someone who showed no concern for the safety of pedestrians, and someone who believes his father's position exempts him from the law." "My father is— I know who your father is." Judge Caprio interrupts gently but firmly. "Your father is Governor Richard Hastings. I've met him several times. He's a committed public servant who worked his way up from the city council. I'm quite sure he would be disappointed by your conduct today." Derek's face reddens, his confidence fading. Judge Caprio continues, his tone steady. "Mr. Hastings, you mentioned your father's name as though it protects you from responsibility. But let me ask, do you believe your father ignores traffic laws or intimidates judges when he's caught?" "I didn't threaten. You told me to watch how I talk to you." "Tell me, in what world is that not a threat?" The prosecutor, silent until now, interjects. Your Honor, for the record, threatening a judicial officer can lead to contempt charges. Derek's eyes widen. This is turning out far worse than he expected. Judge Caprio raises a hand to calm the room. That won't be necessary for now. He refocuses on Derek. Mr. Hastings, I need you to understand something clearly. Your father's position holds no influence in this courtroom. None at all. If the governor himself stood where you are today and broke traffic laws, he would face the same consequences as anyone else. That's what true justice means. But I'm not done yet. The judge's voice stays calm, but his words stop Derek in his tracks. You seem to think that being related to someone powerful makes you important. It doesn't. Do you want to know what truly defines importance? Character, integrity, and respect for others, none of which you've shown here today. An older man in the audience wearing a veteran's cap can't hold back. Tell him, Judge, he calls out. A few people chuckle quietly. The tension is heavy, yet there's a growing sense of admiration for how Judge Caprio is handling the situation with composure. Derek tries one last attempt. Look, Your Honor, I think we started off on the wrong foot. I apologize if I came across badly. Can we just take care of this fine and move on? Judge Caprio studies him for a long moment. So you just want to pay a fine and leave? Yes, Your Honor. No remorse for speeding. No sign you understand that you endangered others. No genuine apology for disrespecting this court. Just pay and go. Derek realizes his mistake, but it's too late. I'm sorry about the speeding. Are you truly sorry or just sorry you got caught? Silence. Judge Caprio leans back in his chair. The courtroom falls completely still. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone senses that something meaningful is about to happen. Subscribe to Judge Stories if you believe entitlement should have consequences. Judge Caprio picks up his pen and makes notes in the file. Derek watches anxiously, his earlier confidence gone. Finally, the judge looks up. Mr. Hastings, you mentioned your father, the governor. Let me share something about your father that you might not be aware of. Derek blinks. Uncertain. Governor Hastings and I once served together on a public safety commission about 5 years ago. During that time, I came to know him quite well. He's a man who strongly values accountability, fairness, and the idea that the rule of law applies equally to all. He once told me that one of the toughest lessons for any parent is teaching their children that privilege comes with responsibility, not immunity. Derek's expression turns pale. Judge Caprio's voice sharpens, calm but deliberate. So here's what I'm going to do. Mr. Hastings, he says, I'm giving you a message to deliver to your father. The courtroom collectively leans in, listening closely. You tell him, Judge Caprio pauses for effect, that his son is about to learn what justice truly means, and this court will be his teacher. The silence that follows is heavy and complete. Then, a slow clap begins from the back of the courtroom. Gradually, others join in. Within moments, the entire gallery is applauding. Derek stands motionless, overwhelmed with embarrassment as the applause continues. This isn't about celebrating his punishment. It's respect for a judge who just reminded everyone that no one stands above the law. When the room finally quiets, Judge Caprio delivers his decision. Mr. Hastings, for driving 23 miles per hour over the limit in a residential area, I'm imposing a fine of $500. Derek flinches but remains silent. In addition, the judge continues, you are required to complete an in-person 8-hour defensive driving course. No online alternative. You'll sit in a classroom with other offenders and learn exactly why speed limits exist. Your Honor, I'm not finished. Third, I'm ordering you to complete 20 hours of community service. You'll work with a traffic safety program that teaches teenagers about responsible driving. Perhaps helping others will help you understand the importance of responsibility yourself. Derek's mouth opens, but he's speechless. And finally, I'll be sending a marked letter to your father, not to cause you more trouble, but to inform him of this case, and to share my confidence that he'll ensure you grasp the lesson behind it. Now, Derek looks truly alarmed. Your Honor, please, don't tell my father. Judge Caprio's expression softens slightly. Mr. Hastings, you were the one who invoked your father's name in an attempt to influence this court. You involved him, and I'm simply holding you accountable for that choice. After Derek is dismissed, leaving the courtroom with far less confidence than he had when he entered, Judge Caprio turns to address the room. Ladies and gentlemen, what you just witnessed is exactly why this court exists. Mr. Hastings came in believing his father's position could shield him. He thought he could more intimidate a Judge Khan without facing any real consequences. He was mistaken. An older woman in the front row raises her hand. Judge Caprio gestures for her to speak. Yes, ma'am, she stands. Your Honor, I'm a retired teacher. I taught for 37 years. And what you did today, that's exactly what we're supposed to do when young people act entitled. We have to remind them that the geese world doesn't revolve around them. Judge Caprio nods with respect. Ma'am, thank you. You're absolutely right, Mr. Hastings needed that lesson. It's far better he learns it here in traffic court than in a situation with far more serious consequences. A younger man rises from his seat. Your Honor, I have a question. What happens if he refuses to complete the community service or the driving course? Then his license will be suspended, and he'll face additional penalties. The decision is entirely his. But what if his father steps in to reduce the penalty? Judge Caprio responds firmly. Governor Hastings is a man of integrity. I don't believe he'll interfere. In fact, I expect he'll ensure his son fulfills every obligation. Good parents don't shield their children from consequences. They teach them to face them. The veteran who spoke earlier raises his hand. Your Honor, may I say something? Go ahead, sir. I served in Desert Storm. I saw many young officers who believed their rank allowed them to act without accountability. The best leaders never used their position for privilege. They earned respect through their actions. That young man needs to understand that respect isn't inherited. It's earned, Judge Caprio nods thoughtfully. Exactly right, sir. Thank you for your service and for that valuable insight. A woman accompanied by her teenage son speaks next. Your Honor, my son just received his first speeding ticket. We've been observing this case, and I'm grateful he's seeing what happens when someone acts entitled instead of accepting responsibility. Judge Caprio turns to the teenager. Young man, what did you learn from watching Mr. Hastings? The teenager pauses, thinking carefully. That who your parents are doesn't matter if you break the law. That's true. What else? That respect works both ways. You have to give it to earn it. Judge Caprio smiles approvingly. Excellent. Remember that when your case is called, show respect, take responsibility, and you'll be treated fairly. Act like Mr. Hastings, and you'll receive the same lesson he did. Share your thoughts in the comments. Should Judge Caprio have been stricter, or was his response just right? As the court resumes with other cases, the atmosphere feels different. There's a quiet recognition that something meaningful took place. Not just another traffic case concluded, but a core value reaffirmed. During a short recess, the prosecutor approaches Judge Caprio. Your Honor, that was remarkable. I've never seen someone diffuse a confrontation so calmly. Judge Caprio smiles humbly. Raising your voice only weakens your position. Staying calm maintains authority. Do you think he learned anything? The prosecutor asks. I believe he learned that his father's name isn't a shield. Caprio replies. Whether he grasps the deeper message, that integrity outweighs influence, and that's yet to be seen. As for the letter to the governor, I'll write it tonight. He deserves to know what occurred, not to shame his son, but because good parents should be aware when their children need guidance. A veteran steps forward during the break. Judge, that young man needed to hear what you said. Too many think the rules don't apply to them. You're right, Caprio replies. The rules apply to everyone. That's not my belief. That's the cornerstone of justice. Do you think the governor will be upset? The veteran asks. Caprio reflects for a moment. At his son? Most likely. At me? I doubt it. Governor Hastings understands his son's behavior was out of line. He'll address it appropriately. Later that evening, Judge Caprio fulfills his promise and writes the letter. Dear Governor Hastings, I'm writing to inform you about a matter involving your son. Derek, who appeared before my court today, I wanted you to hear the details directly from me rather than through other sources. Derek was cited for excessive speeding. During the proceedings, he attempted to leverage your position in an effort to influence the outcome. I want you to understand that I did not, and will not, treat him differently because of your status or position. He has been fined and ordered to complete a driving education course along with community service. Standard penalties for his offenses. I share this not to create tension within your family, but out of respect for you and the belief that you'd want to be informed. Your son must learn that your achievements belong to you alone, and that respect is earned through one's own actions, not inherited through family influence. Respectfully, Judge Frank Caprio. 3 days later, Judge Caprio received a reply. Dear Judge Caprio, thank you for handling my son's case with fairness and for taking the time to reach out personally. I am deeply disappointed by Derek's conduct and appreciate that you held him accountable. He and I have since had a serious conversation about respect, privilege, and responsibility. I assure you he will fulfill every requirement you assigned. I hope this experience teaches him what I failed to emphasize. That true character is defined by how we treat others, especially those in positions of authority. Thank you for imparting a lesson I should have taught myself. Sincerely, Richard Hastings. Subscribe to Calm and Judge Stories for more moments where entitlement meets accountability, where a single sentence can change everything. Derek Hastings entered the courtroom believing his father's name was his protection. He left realizing it was only a name. Judge Caprio reminded everyone that justice doesn't consider your family background. It considers your integrity. This is what happens when privilege faces principle, when arrogance meets calm authority, and when one well-timed statement delivers a lesson worth more than any fine. Share this. If you believe no one is above the law, comment where you're from and whether your courts hold everyone equally accountable.